Does the answer lie in private equity firms? Well, John Caldwell, business leader, philanthropist who founded mobile retailer Phones for You, appeared on the Channel 4 programme and argued there is need for legislation to stop companies taking so much money out of retailers. John joins him on the line. Very good morning to you. You sold your business to a private equity firm, didn't do too badly out of it. Why do you think the sector needs to be legislated further?
Well, that's not quite my viewpoint, actually. My viewpoint, as far as the high street goes, is that there's multiple causes for the collapse, but of course, mainly the pandemic, and mainly people's lack of being able to adapt to the new online future. But I was tasked with the challenge of, can we do something to make the private equity side of the sector a little bit more robust? And I think the answer to that is yes, we can, because typically private equity have been able to invest very little of their own money into a business, and a lot of borrowing via main debt and mezzanine debt. And that in the heady days of the early 2000s, that could be as much as 90% of borrowing and only a few percent of their own money. Now, that is clearly a difficulty when people have not got much skin in the business. Now, if that business then prospers in the first year or two and they strip a lot of money out, we're into the same situation where the private equity company is home dry and making a fortune, and then the business left capitalized at a very low level. So I'm not a great favor of bureaucracy and laws interfering in business, but sometimes there's something sensibly that could be done that doesn't jeopardize the business model, but that does make it a little bit more robust for the employees and the business.
Could I chuck in a complication, which is this they're not new, but I mean the acronym is new, SPACs. In other words, these funds which are specifically you put money into them and then you trust on the administration of the fund to actually find something to invest in and all that kind of stuff. And we've probably seen it many times before, but that must complicate things, isn't it? Because I think what we're talking about here is talking about private equity, but there's a search for return, isn't there?
Well, there's a constant search for a return, and I don't think SPACs are a bad thing for the economy. I think there's a perfectly legitimate way of somebody getting a listing to market, and shareholders, investors doing well out of it. But of course, all of these things depend on the skill and ability of the people doing it, whether it's the private equity house or the management team running a business. And there's a lot of failings in life, and legislation shouldn't be imposed too greatly, because otherwise we just live in a society of bureaucracy where enterprise is thwarted. But sometimes just some judicial measures taken can improve the situation without causing any long-term problems.
It's been an awful year, but thanks to the vaccine programme, it looks like the UK is in a much better place than we could have imagined as little as 3 months ago. What do you feel about Britain's future? Very broad question. Sorry about this, but you are a business leader. How confident are you about Britain's future post-pandemic?
Well, I think, as you say, the vaccine programme has been an incredible rollout, and even more so when you compare it to most of Europe. We're so far ahead of any other European country that I think the country has to be praised for its foresight in ordering the vaccinations and for rolling out the programme. And that gives us a very bright early recovery from COVID. But of course, the problem is that unless Europe gets their act together, then it's restricted recovery, because it's a recovery within an insular island, and people unable to trade properly and travel properly with our neighbours. So, it's very, very good prospects for Britain. And also, in addition to the COVID situation being resolved, we do have now this huge bank of money in people's wealth. There's about 130 billion extra in people's pockets as a consequence of the pandemic. This is the people that, of course, that have been fortunate enough to be looked after, and some haven't. Those people that have been looked after are now reasonably wealthy, and of course starved of socializing, starved of holidays, and starved of going out to restaurants. So I think that once these restrictions lift, we're going to see a huge boom in activity. Now, that's slightly than a boom in the economy, because the economy will take a short-term boom, without doubt, until that money runs out. But then we've got the problem of a huge number of unemployed, and we really have to drive this country forward in order to make it prosperous over the next 5 to 10 years.
No joy really in being a prosperous in isolation. No man is an island, and all the rest of it. Quite right that the EU needs to get its act together. Do you think it will? And we'll come on to unemployment in a second. But first of all, do you think that there is some kind of possibility of the EU getting its house in order fairly soon? Because, as you say, it needs to.
Well, I think so. I think it has to. But when you look at the various countries, well, if you look at the EU first of all, and the mess that they've made of ordering the vaccinations and rolling out the programme, it's disastrous. And then von der Leyen has the audacity to start blaming Britain and suggesting that we're getting more than a fair share of vaccines, when we've had the foresight to place the orders, and threatens a vaccine war. And I think that is one of the most fiasco comments I've ever heard, because it's just creating a vaccine war. And what she doesn't seem to realise is that Britain are responsible for the supply of most of the components to these vaccines. So that's a war they'd never win. But why would we be talking of war when we've really got a war against the COVID situation? And threatening us like that is a fiasco. But I think they've done that to try and distract and disguise their own incompetence. But having said which, they will get their act together. They have to do, because it's a disaster. You know, the French situation is they're constantly in rising cases and rising deaths, and that can't continue. But you know, there is another problem, and I don't know why it is, but in France, people are very vaccine resistant, so the government have got an extra job to do.
They have. That's probably a subject for another day. But yeah, absolutely, we're looking at that. You mentioned unemployment. That's critical. We started talking about in the programme this morning, talking about the unemployment figures yesterday, which showed, in inverted commas, a slight improvement in what's going on. The problem is that we don't really know in the UK the full extent of unemployment, do we? Because so many people are still on furlough. It could be as many as 4 million. So the question really, I suppose, is can the UK economy adapt to it? Because we have always had a rump of the long-term unemployed. We know that. Can the economy absorb in its new form, whatever it may be, all these people who won't have a job when furlough runs out?
Well, of course, we'll have to absorb, but that's not the answer. The answer is CPR. It's something that I introduced as a concept 9 months ago, which is Cornwall Pandemic Recovery. And this is the government putting a huge amount of money, investing in the future, investing in situations that will create real jobs, real GDP growth, and real wealth for the nation. And that's covered in 4 areas: a renewable energy city, inward investment from all foreign businesses to try and get them to come to Britain's shores and set up manufacturing plants or businesses within Britain, investment in our own infrastructure and apprenticeship schemes. If we do all that, and we're brave and we grasp that nettle, we'll start creating jobs very rapidly over the next few years. But unfortunately, over the next year or two, we are going to certainly have to absorb a lot of unemployment people, and that's a fiasco for the country and a fiasco for those individuals.
John Caldwell, thank you very much indeed for joining us. John Caldwell.